You're looking at folks in Charlotte, North Carolina, who are walking into vote this morning in today's Super Tuesday primary. Democrats and Republicans believe the state will be a potential battleground in November. President Trump held a rally there last night looking to win North Carolina again this year. Democrats hope that new voters will flip the state, which has voted Republican in every recent presidential election except 2008. Chip Reid is in Charlotte. Chip, why is North Carolina changing?
Well, I tell you, North Carolina is one of the fastest growing states in the country, and most of that growth is happening in cities like Charlotte. And most of those people who are pouring in here tend to be younger and more diverse. And that has Democrats feeling pretty hopeful.
Offices like this one reflect the changing face of North Carolina. Founded 10 years ago in the basement of an abandoned cigarette factory, American Underground now has 5 locations with a mission to help new businesses take off.
This is the bullpen, which is really the launch spot.
Molly Demarest grew up here in Durham and now manages this campus for startups.
Would it be accurate to call this area a magnet for young, high-tech oriented people?
Absolutely.
And was it that way when you were growing up?
Not from what I remember.
American Underground is part of statewide growth that's seen nearly 300,000 jobs created and more than 1 million new registered voters since the last presidential election.
There's a draw of people from out of market, and then there's also a lot of people that are choosing to stay. You know, the brain drain concept. I think we're seeing that less and less.
Hospitality is the state's fastest growing sector, spurred in part by a craft beer boom that's seen breweries skyrocket from just a few dozen in 2011 to more than 300 today.
I am the black woman brewer in North Carolina.
Brianna Brake launched Spaceway Brewing in 2018. She and fellow entrepreneur Nicole Oxendine would like politicians to talk more about barriers for women of color.
There are ceilings for black women. I think, it ripples into so many different layers of life. But no, I don't hear anybody talking about that.
I like the people that say the most radical things. Bernie Sanders is saying some stuff that's like he's got my mom like, how's this man gonna do all this stuff? There's no way he can. But I'm like, well, shouldn't you go with the dude or woman or whoever that's saying the most broadest thing? Maybe you'll get some of that.
A political battleground, President Trump won Nash County by fewer than 100 votes in 2016. But Brake's operation inside this old Confederate cotton mill shows the area is changing.
I've had people come out to me and say, you're here, so everything's good now. Like, y'all don't have anything to complain about, basically. And I'm like, please, let's just drink this beer and not have this conversation.
The people who've been here for years, they've been doing it, and that's black and white. We've been doing it our way for years and years. How can we as the next generation kind of pool together and say, well, we want something different?
Our vision of hope.
The same year President Trump won in North Carolina,
Finally,
the state elected Democrat Roy Cooper as governor.
Do you believe that North Carolina is moving from being a red state to a blue state?
Definitely, no doubt about it.
Trey Nix ran Cooper's campaign.
I think the state is way more competitive today than people totally realize. And I think now that you've got so much growth, there will be a day where Republicans will not win here very much.
Outside the city, farmers are struggling, and tobacco, once the state's most profitable crop, has seen sales to its largest trading partner, China, plummet from $166 million in 2016 to just over $1 million last year.
I keep hearing Secretary of Agriculture and other folks say, short-term pain for long-term gain. But you got to survive that short-term pain or the long-term gain doesn't do you any good.
Farmer Brandon Batten cut his tobacco production in half, losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. But he remains optimistic and supportive of President Trump.
I think he needs a little more time. It didn't get this way overnight, and I know it's not going to be fixed overnight. But I'm hopeful that, the president's right and we'll need bigger tractors and more land, but I haven't ordered any yet.
We talked to nearly a dozen farmers here in North Carolina who are hoping new trade deals will help turn things around. And for the most part, they're sticking by President Trump. But here in the cities, Democrats are confident the political tide is turning in their direction.
Oh, Chip, that's a great piece. 1 million new voters registered since 2016. That's what stands out to me.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
All right, Chip, thank you very much.